So, August 31st, that's the day we're going to be kicking off our journey into the stars with Bethesda's Starfield RPG. I don't know exactly what time the game is going live that day yet. I haven't actually dove into that yet, and I'll be continuing to prep and look into that. But the one thing I can tell you is that as soon as this game goes live, I would say the first few days, the first five, I think it's 5 days of Head Start access that we get for Premium Edition owners. Those first 5 days before the game goes live to the masses, I am going to be pretty much not sleeping and streaming this game a ton, as well as creating a lot of guides and content around it to take advantage of the fact that as a content creator, I've got a few days to get in there with a bunch of other content creators and hopefully make my voice heard. To those of you who are in the channel, that's easy. To the rest of the algorithm out there, well, that's the tricky part, and that's what we have to look forward to as content creators: is how do we break through that noise and make our voices heard. Baldur's Gate 3 remains a big part of this channel, and it's going to be a big part of this channel for the foreseeable future, at least the rest of this year. But much like Baldur's Gate 2, I anticipate that game being something I'm going to play through 5, 6, 7 times over the first year or two of that game. So I would say you're going to continue to see Baldur's Gate 3 streams and content for me for quite some time. But I will say that as far as streams go, once Starfield drops, those first 5 days until the game goes live to the masses, I will be exclusively streaming Starfield to take advantage of the early access that I pitched in and paid for with the premium edition. That being said, I'm still going to be producing at least one Baldur's Gate 3 video every single day, even though we're not necessarily going to be streaming every single day. Now, once this game goes live, I will then be alternating. I don't know exactly how that's going to work quite yet, but the idea I have in my head is going to be one day Baldur's Gate 3, one day Starfield. One day Baldur's Gate 3, one day Starfield. And alternating those on the days when I only do one stream a day. Now, on the days when I do 2 streams a day, which usually happen on Tuesdays and Saturdays, because on Tuesdays I have the Baldur's Gate 3 multi-stream group that I do in the afternoons. I'll probably stream Starfield that morning, then Baldur's Gate 3 that afternoon, and on Saturdays I'll do one of each. I'll do a Starfield stream and then a Baldur's Gate 3 stream. But apart from that, it'll be every other day is going to be alternating until we get to the point where we have Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty dropping, at which point I will then be doing the same thing. I will be putting in probably 3 to 5 days of heavy Cyberpunk streams. And then once we get beyond that, we will start to alternate all three of these games in somewhat of a staggered fashion. 111, 111, something of that nature. We might do blocks. I don't know quite yet. We're going to be looking at how the algorithm works. We're going to be looking at how you consume the content, what videos you're resonating the most with. So the big thing that I can ask from all of you as community members is to continue to tune in, like the videos, subscribe, comment, join the Discord, do all the things that you're already doing to make sure that the content is getting out there and getting seen. And then as long as that's happening, we will be smooth sailing into the future. But for the meantime, my plan for the launch of Starfield is first 5 days, heavy streaming, lots of content creation, probably 90% Starfield with one Baldur's Gate 3 video every day. And then once we get to the general launch, we'll be easing back and going into a once a day type video thing with streams every other day and going forward from there. Now, in terms of the types of videos that I'm going to be creating around Starfield, I would say you can expect to see some of what you've seen me doing for Baldur's Gate 3. So you'll definitely see me doing build guides. I will also be doing snippets from like the big bad boss fights seem to work pretty well with Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know how that's exactly going to translate into Starfield because I don't know if they have big bad bosses per se or how the combat is going to work in terms of the encounters that you're coming across. But I do the two different series for Baldur's Gate 3. I do the encounter videos, and then I do the big bad boss fights. So some variation of that is going to be happening with Starfield on top of the builds and guides. Now, they don't have classes per se, but they do have the backgrounds and the skills and everything else. So we're going to be diving into that and working on all the different combinations that we can do. Now, one of the differences between, I would say, Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 is that with Baldur's Gate 3, I have three different playthroughs happening. I have the live stream playthrough where I'm taking my druid through the game. I have an offline playthrough that I don't do as frequently, but I still do with my sorcerer, getting a couple of snippet videos here and there. And then I have the multiplayer group that I do where I'm playing a bard. In terms of Starfield, I'm pretty sure I'm only going to be playing the one character through all the way. I may start a secondary character to do guides with around different things, but I would expect to see lots of beginners guides because I think that when you look at what a lot of people create content around in games, at least for, this is what I've seen for like Star Wars: The Old Republic, Lord of the Rings Online, Baldur's Gate 3, and things of that nature. A lot of the times, some of the bigger content creators like to focus on like the tiered lists and, like the meta builds. And here's the, multi-class assassin build that I want to. I don't do any of that. I like to do beginners guides. I really like to help new people get into things, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or anything else. So those have resonated for me for a long time. I've had very good success with the beginners guides for Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars: The Republic, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Solasta, Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, and Baldur's Gate 3. So anticipate seeing beginners guides from me. And then as I get deeper into the game, I will of course do some advanced guides, but those always come later. I don't get review copies of games. I don't really pursue review copies. Plus, my channel, is still growing. I'm not quite big enough to get offered reviews copies. Um, but I know what a lot of people have done in terms of content creation is they will create these, big, ultimate guide to levels 1 to 20 for this class, and they'll drop that on day 1, and it's like, dude, no one's playing that to that level on day 1. Like, and also you're rushing. I don't like to rush. Like, somebody told me the other day, I don't know how many, we're 2 weeks into Baldur's Gate 3 at this point. A bunch of people have already finished Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm like 17 or 18 sessions in with my druid, and I'm only about 40, I think 45 hours into the campaign because I play about, whatever, 2, 3 hours per session. And someone's like, how are you only in Moonrise Towers? How are you only this far into the game? I've already completed my second playthrough. And it's like, because I do a lot of different things. I don't just sit here and play for, 15 hours a day and only play. I have content creation, I have the homestead, we do all these different podcasts and things. I don't just do one game and only that game. I do the reviews and TV shows and all this other stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. So beginners guides, um, and live streams, obviously. Once we get into shipbuilding, I'll be doing shipbuilding guides, I'll be doing outpost building guides. But something that fascinated me from the AMA they did the other day in Discord was the idea that you can get housing on different cities and planets. So you can absolutely expect to see housing guides for me, because that's something I've done over the years with like EverQuest 2, Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars: The Republic. The housing guides have also done well for my channel, so you can expect to see that kind of stuff from me. Plus, I love decorating. I get obsessed with that kind of stuff, and I also love cosmetics for characters. So, as an example, I didn't even know that they had cosmetic. I didn't know that they had dyes in Baldur's Gate 3, and I found that out during the live stream yesterday. And someone was like, "Did you know you could dye your armor?" I think it was Mujin, and he was like, "Did you?" And I was like, "What?" And I went to the merchants, and there's all these different dyes. So now I'm getting sidetracked there. So that kind of stuff fascinates me. So what's up, everybody? Quick commercial break here to give it a shout out to our guild champions, who are the highest tier memberships here on YouTube: Ancient Entity, Assassin Gamer 94, Bubbleonia Rising, Crazy's Relative, Mujin, and Remedy. Thanks so much for the highest tier membership. And thanks to all of the members who support the channel, because you keep me doing this full time. You too can become a supporter if you're new here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Join as a member. There's 3 different tiers. We do lots of special stuff: private polls, private videos. You get a shout out if you're the highest tier membership, but you can also do one-off donations in the form of super chats on any live stream or premiere you see, and of course super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Whatever you can contribute, it's great. Keeps me on the air full time, keeps the cats fed, keeps the homestead running. Anyway, back to the video, everybody. So you can expect to see me weaving all of that type of stuff together with Starfield. Now, in terms of how long is it going to take me to get through the game? I don't know. Am I going to be replaying this as much as I do with Baldur's Gate 3? I don't know yet. Like with Baldur's Gate 3, they came out of the gate and said very clearly it's 80 hours of the base game and like a 200-hour completionist run. Excuse me. I don't know that they've specifically said how big is the campaign. I'm thinking in the back of my mind because again, remember, I just started getting involved with Starfield around Starfield Direct, so a couple few months back. So I haven't been following this game, for years, and so I don't know every intimate detail. But there's something in my mind that's telling me that I may have heard somewhere that the campaign is somewhere around 50 to 60 hours for like the story of Starfield, but then in terms of the exploration of the thousand planets, building outposts everywhere, and building ships and all the other things that you can do, that's something where there's going to be a lot of open territory for people to go out there and explore. So in terms of replayability, that's up in the area because I don't quite know, but I do know, given the past experiences I've had with like Morrowind, The Elder Scrolls Online, Oblivion, Skyrim, so on and so forth. I usually do 2 or 3 playthroughs of Bethesda games before I kind of feel like I've seen everything I want to see. So I would anticipate this being something where I'm going to do the same, where I'm going to do 2 or 3 playthroughs of the main classes I want to play. Speaking of classes, it's a little different here because we have backgrounds, but I think at the moment, based on the information that I know from, what I've seen online and gathered on the internet, I think I'm going to be going with the Cyber Runner background. What I want to do is I want to have like a Han Solo smuggler build. I don't need to be super strong. I don't need to be, all these other things. I just want to be kind of charismatic, sneaking around a little bit. I'm probably going to be focused on stealth and hacking and security and things of that nature. And I want to be able to smuggle goods. And when they talked about this in the AMA the other day, and they were saying that you could get special containers to install on your ship to hide contraband because certain things are illegal in certain places, I went, aha, that's for me. That's the stuff that I want to do. That's the thing. That's the way I want to play the game. So that's something you can expect to see from me. So in short, I'm going to be playing a lot of Starfield, and from here on forward, I anticipate that I'm going to be starting to produce one video a day around Starfield, whether it's news articles or, prep guides or things of that nature. Anytime I see anything that crops up in the news, I'll be covering it, and then I'm going to start to talk about my ideas for theory crafting and guides and everything else. Now, I know some folks out there, I know like Babylonia, who's one of our longtime community members, and he's a huge Bethesda fan, huge Fallout fan. He's got a lot of plan for mods. Now, I've never gotten into mods before, but considering my friendship with Babylonia and how passionate he is about this, I may even eventually, I don't know yet, I can't confirm, but I at least am beginning to, if not have a desire to build mods on my own, play through with mod. I've never really done mods for any game. But one of the things that really I intrigues me about what people have done with Bethesda games in the past is create their own stories. I need a drink of coffee here. I got a frog in my throat. People creating their own content and creating their own stories and everything else around the game using mods. That intrigues me because there are some really creative minds out there that can essentially create fan fiction for games like this, and it's something I've never dove into before. But now that I'm a content creator full time, I'm looking at ways that I can continue to get more than I used to get out of games, and so that intrigues me a lot. So you might even see some of that coming from me at some point as I explore the mods that people are creating around this game. In any case, those are my rough plans for Starfield launch and the first few months of Starfield. If all that sounds good for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Don't forget, we do stream daily at 11 a.m. Central. There is a Discord channel, links are down below, and we do a ton of different stuff on the channel, so check out the playlists. Join as a member to support or drop a super chat, super thanks on any video you see, and hopefully I'll see you in the stars here in a couple of weeks, everybody. Until then, stay safe and happy gaming.